welcome back to Break Trail. If you haven't been here for a few weeks and you're wondering what Break Trail means, it has to do with hiking. Is anyone here a hiker? When you're out in nature, it's pretty common to be taken by surprise by a wild creature or two. Maybe a bird dive bombs you and steals your snacks. You get stalked by a bobcat. You brush a leaf off your arm and realize it's a giant spider. Or maybe a snake interrupts your casual stroll. When you're out in nature, you have to stay aware of the many living things around you. A lot of animals have a natural ability to blend into their surroundings for protection, so they're hard to spot. But even indoor animals have some camouflage abilities like, is it a poodle or a fried chicken? Is it a husky or a bagel? Is it a parrot or some guacamole? Is it a kitten or caramel sundae? Is it a chihuahua or blueberry muffin? Considering it's Easter, you might know where I'm going with this whole being surprised something wasn't alive thing. For the last few weeks, we've been following Jesus' journey to the cross and beyond. In week 1, we saw Jesus betrayed by his friends on the night of his arrest. In week 2, we saw how Jesus was beaten, tortured, and mocked on his way to the cross. In week 3, we found Jesus on the cross in the last moments before his death. And today, in celebration of Easter Sunday, we're going to talk about what happened next. I'm guessing you know what happened after Jesus was killed, right? It's what Easter Sunday is all about, right? Our entire faith revolves around this. 3 days after Jesus died, he rose from the dead. But before we get there, I want us to think about what it must have been like for Jesus' friends and followers before they heard the good news of Jesus' resurrection. Try not to jump ahead to celebration just yet. Instead, see if you can imagine what it must have been like to be one of Jesus' followers. Your leader, the one who you thought was the Son of God, is dead. Your own life is in danger too. Your movement seems to be over. Everything that had given you hope and purpose just a few days earlier now seems like a lost cause. If you had been there, you would probably have been feeling pretty hopeless, right? You probably would have been wondering, will things ever get better? In our lowest and most hopeless moments, it often seems impossible to imagine, find a way out of your hopeless stories. But Jesus is in the business of breaking new trails no one else could. So let's see how Jesus broke trail on the path to hope. On our last stop on this journey toward Easter, we left with Jesus' body being taken down from the cross and prepared for burial, while his close friends and family mourned their loss. In Jewish culture, it was customary when someone died to visit their tomb on the 3rd day. And during that visit, friends and family would cover their loved one's body with oils and spices to honor the dead and limit the odor a dead body would give off. And 3 women who had been close followers and friends of Jesus were the ones who got up early on the 3rd day to go and treat the body of Jesus. All things considered, these women expected to go to Jesus' tomb and find him, well, dead. Right? This was a sad, somber, and overall hopeless situation. As far as they know, all that was left to do was grieve and mourn what had been lost. In Luke 24, 1-12, it says this: on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee? The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the 3rd day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the woman because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away wondering to himself what had happened. The women went to the tomb expecting to see Jesus' body there, but they didn't. Instead, 2 men appeared, probably angels, to tell the woman the person that they were looking for wasn't dead at all. He was alive. Can you imagine the shock these women must have experienced? Because this announcement does not make sense, right? They saw Jesus die. They saw his body. They knew he was buried, but now he's not. When they started thinking through all the things that Jesus had said that once seemed so cryptic, things began to make sense for the first time. Jesus really was alive, and this should have been a surprise, right? Jesus had been hinting at this all along. The women ran to tell the rest of the disciples to tell them that Jesus was alive, but of course they found it hard to believe. Even Peter, who was usually the first to get excited, had to go to the tomb and see for himself. Peter saw the empty tomb, but he still didn't believe it. Luke told us that Peter walked away in awe, wondering what was going on. But can you blame Jesus' followers for the confusion and hesitation? The idea that Jesus had risen from the dead was so fantastic and unbelievable, it makes sense why they had trouble grasping it. In 1 Corinthians 15, 21, 26, it says this, "For since death came through a man, the resurrection of the dead comes also through a man. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive. But each in turn, Christ, the first fruits, then, when he comes, those who belong to him. Then the end will come, when he hands over the kingdom to God the Father after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. For he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be destroyed is death." When Paul says that we can be made alive again in Jesus, he means two things. When we die, we don't stay dead. Just like Jesus, we can rise again and live an eternal life with God. But with Jesus, we can also find new life right here and right now. The things in our lives or hearts that seem dead don't have to stay that way. At the core of our faith is the belief that God can turn death into life, redeem anything that's gone wrong, resurrect anyone and anything. Seeing dead things come back to life is kind of what following Jesus is all about. Jesus is alive, and with Jesus, so are we.